300, 330, 337, 45. That's 4 times what we got. Goal. In Klondike that's earned through loyalty, suffering, and time. Chris Dumit was Parker Schnabel's most trusted man. Until now, he hadn't been. He quietly left and joined Rickness. No one saw him. And when he did, it felt less like a transfer and more like a knife in the ass. A minefield. To understand why Chris Dumit's exit felt so profound, you have to understand who he was in the operation. He wasn't just another employee. He was part of the original story. The funny thing is, Chris was never able to be a gold miner. He replaced him in this one. In the first season of the show, he was just a carpenter. A man who got involved in the business and taught Hoffman's crew how to build a cavalry. He was a good carpenter, not a sledgehammer or a spider. But in the chaotic world of gold mining, plans change quickly. When another teammate couldn't make it to work, Chris didn't hold back. He folded the ball, pulled out the sledgehammer, and stepped into the hole. He never paid off. But no one could have expected that the same man who once saved a club after an exit, who once destroyed another after an escape, came on a bike with Hoffman's club and learned the trade through trial and error, mostly error. He saw immediately how a team could be abandoned by poor decisions and broken objects. I understood how to avoid these problems or work around them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 29. There we are. We're over 30. So when that cluster finally collapsed, Christoph, known for his calm work ethic and unwavering attire, ended up with Parker Schnabel. At the time, Parker was just a kid, a young, intensely driven minister trying to make a name for himself. He needed more than just hard shots. He needed stability. He needed people he could see, and in Christoph Doumit, he found his ingredient. Parker didn't just give Christoph a job, he gave him the most important job in the entire place. It wasn't just a role for someone else. Another foot was in the next line. This is where all the hard work, all the engine-powered work, and all the hours spent on the ropes were transformed into real, abundant gold. It takes incredible attention to detail, precision, and above all, luck. Christoph was perfect for this. He traded gold with calm courage, ensuring that each shot was caught sealed and properly placed. He became more than a worker. He was the treasure keeper, the target's protector. For fans watching at home, he was the calm center of the explosion. A man who brought a quiet courage to the loud and flashy business. We need to talk about this, about your internship experience. Oh, I know. How much of that is spent in the last 2 years, right over the years, through record-breaking seasons and broken obstacles. Chris earned his place. He was Parker. When things were shiny, he never reached out. He was the last person anyone expected to escape. As Parker developed, so did his ambitions, his risks developed, and his composure increased. It wasn't a good enough season. Each year had to be better than the last. Each season had to be a new record. This desire for more changed the nature of the operation. There was no longer one Raven, one Dot. It had become a massive industrial undertaking. The biggest change was the decision to equip 3 tempered, rare, which meant more gold could be found. But in reality, it was a logistical nightmare. These planas weren't side by side. They were spread out often on a mile and were separated by circular overflowing trees. One plana might be drawn to the main end, while another was positioned on a smaller exploratory view, and the third worked through a completely different type of land. It was like trying to run 3 different businesses at once, all under direct pressure from tanks in the Yukon. The cold waits for no one, and every day, every hour, there's a brilliant scramble to pull every possible lead of gold from the ground before the cold shuts the doors. This kind of calm not only changes the stress on the machines, but also the people who run them. The constant roar of the engine, the endless parade of cars, and the 24/7 nature of the job create an environment of endless pressure. And Chris Dumit immediately found himself in the father of this hurricane. His work, when focused and composed, exploded into complexion. He still worked in the upper room, but now he wasn't just dealing in gold from one plant. He was responsible for all three, which meant 30 complex activities. 30 complex pieces of equipment, 30 complex tasks that produced gold from the black dog, and most importantly, 30 complex pressures. If he stopped working in one place, the radio would persist from one to another. There was always another lift, another fold, another count. There was no escape, no time for him to breathe. There was no one to help him acknowledge the enormous cost of his new responsibilities. As always, Chris put his head down and tried to get through it. He was a professional, but even the strongest compound could be compounded by the constant complex things that began to emerge. A day in the life of an explosion. Imagine what it was like for Chris at that moment. The sun isn't even up, but the generators are already cranking. He grabs a quick coffee and heads out into the cold air. His first stop is the main thrower, Big Red. The movement itself is a challenge, moving on to the dark, sheltered road that moves the car. He reached the thrower, and the night traffic has already finished its movement. The mats and boxes are heavy with a full 12 hours of material. He begins the careful process of pulling out heavy mats, tossing the concentrate, and moving it around on the table. His movements are precise, born from years of experience. He knows that a single mistake can cost thousands of dollars and lost gold. During operation, the radio is a constant source of pressure. "Hi Krishu, do you have a copy?" a voice says. "We're ready to clean up on Slusuwi. This is the second thrower, 5 billion from you." He recognizes the task. His mind is already coming. He still has an hour of work here. After finishing cleaning on Big Red, he receives the gold, unloads the weight, and returns to the car. There's no time for a real breakfast, his food while driving. The car starts so hard that he has to be careful not to burn the beer. He arrives at Slusuwi, and the process begins again. Another set of mats, another thrower, another long session on the table. This time there's a problem. Another water line connected to the ingredient is flying, sending water all over the surface. This is a safety hazard and could damage the equipment. He needs to call the technician, wait for him, and try to work on the problem. Delay puts him even further behind the diagram. As the sun sets, his day begins, but it's not over yet. The third smaller set, still far away in the exploration, is also ready. He returns to the car. The weight and my thought are tired with sensitivity. He passes through the lights flowing across the desert. He does the third and final factor under the shouts of the workers. It's late at night when it finally finishes. He shifts back to the ingredient. His eyes are heavy. He knows he has to be back in a few hours to do it again. It wasn't just one bad day, it was every day. The beginning arrived quietly. Chris, noticing that this time was impossible to maintain, asked for help. He explained that he couldn't be in 3 places at once. He needed another set of traditional hands, someone to share the burden. But Parker, a man so locked into his devices and seasoned goals, didn't seem to understand the human cost of his ambition. From a high-level perspective, the operation worked. The numbers were good. Gold was coming. The request for help was a visible small problem in a large, successful machine. Never support. For Chris, the message was loud and clear. His health was less important than touching the next significant number. The decision to rest didn't end on the floor. It remained in the darkness of those long journeys and lonely nights. Chris began to look at the large photograph. He thought about the toll 10 years of loyalty, his parents, and the physical toll his body had taken on him, and finally reached a sad realization. No matter how much he gave, no matter how much he worked, he still stood alone and endured 3 surgeries. Meanwhile, his magnificent face had made a comeback. Rickness, a longtime employee, was going through a difficult time. He went from mining to reconciling with separate issues, and many people in the Klondike had to be guided by the success and perseverance of the team. He needed a team he could trust, people who knew the business and weren't pressured. He needed someone exactly like Chris Dumit. Everything unfolded like a conversation. There was no secret meeting, no dramatic negotiations. Rick, knowing the pressure, Chris had probably just sent it. He couldn't offer the same kind of money as Parker. He didn't have the camera to pull off a dramatic outburst. He simply finished his work, grabbed his boxes, and fled. He fled the town that had been his home for a decade, and fled something new. When the news broke, the shock was immense. Fans couldn't believe it. The reaction on social media was explosive. Some called him creepy, calling him a man who had made him look old. Others divided him, understanding that a person can only... But they all agreed on one thing. This was the most unexpected move of the season. It felt like a line had been crossed, and it was crossed, and it was crossed. What he found with Rick was no escape from the hard work. It was a way to continue the work he loved, but in a way that didn't destroy him. You don't believe it, but it's really strange. But what's really going on? You see, behind the scenes, Chris Dumit's situation has opened a Pandora cover of fan theories. One of the most popular is the Klondike conspiracy, which causes producers to deliberately create drama to bolster the rescues. Some fans believe that Parker's direct pursuit of the records and his expressed uncertainty about Chris's outburst were covered up, or at least heavily implicated by the cameras. They say that reality television is rarely real, and that the intense environment in which the kitchen broadcasts is designed to create conflict. Another theory involves the return of Rickness. Some viewers speculate that his return wasn't entirely organic. They say the producers saw an opportunity to create a complex scenario by pitting old friends against each other. The historical monster, as it's often called online, has become a major narrative point, and some fans believe Chris's recruitment was hidden, at least in part, to heighten the drama. It's truly strange, but what's really going on behind the scenes? One of the most common rumors is that gold prices are often affected for dramatic effect. Although television systematically documents the location and measurement of gold, some viewers believe that the final numbers are sometimes altered to make the risk higher. This theory is doubly true because television's primary purpose is to show, and a record-breaking season makes for a more compelling story. What really raises many questions are these theories about lost films. Over the years, instances of conflicts and events that never happened have surfaced. Some fans believe these faux scenes hold the key to understanding the true dynamics between the miners. They believe the producers carefully craft the narrative, presenting a specific version of events and leaving out details that might complicate a scene or make certain characters seem less likable. Chris Dumit's situation also sparked debates about loyalty and ethics in the world of top-tier mining. Some fans believed Chris was able to leave a toxic work environment, while others believed he had a responsibility to stick with Parker, who gave him a chance. This debate has expanded beyond the show, fostering discussions about balancing one's health with professional responsibilities. Believe it or not, the show's historical monsters aren't limited to Chris Dumit's exit. There have been other occasions when groups have shortened or severed connections, often with dramatic consequences. These monsters, whether real or manufactured, became a theme in the upcoming program, adding a layer of intrigue and suspense to the already intense world of mining. What is loyalty worth? Sticking with the group regardless of personal costs, or being loyal to one's health? Krishu chose to go. He found the safety of mining to purify smaller human operations. His quiet exit created a buzz of debate and left a permanent mark on the program's landscape. It served as a powerful example that in the search for gold, sometimes the most important thing you can find is a reason to keep going.